May recall the discovery that President Barack Obama and former Vice President Dick Cheney are related. You can now add some more curious branches to the Obama family tree. It turns out the 2008 presidential election was a family affair. The folks at Ancestry.com say the president is a distant relative to Sarah Palin. Not only that, they also say he's got a connection to radio host Rush Limbaugh. And to top it off, apparently Obama and former President George W. Bush are relatives. A genealogist says Obama and Palin are 10th cousins through a common ancestor who lived in the 17th century. As for Limbaugh, he's also a 10th cousin of the president, one time removed through a common ancestor who was a large landowner in Virginia. And when it comes to Bush, he and Obama are 11th cousins. It's unlikely, though, that there will be any kind of extended family reunion anytime soon. Diane Kepley, The Associated Press.
In either of those first two books, though, who knew you and Dick Cheney cousins?
You know, listen, I don't think I'm going to the family reunion. I don't know how I'll be greeted. But no, you know, these folks have been doing all these genealogies on me, and
Right.
You know, they've found all sorts of strange connections.
This has got to be the strangest, though.
Well, listen, if you go back far enough,
Yeah.
you know, you got all kinds of crooks and thieves in your family. I'm not necessarily drawing that analogy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't know who's back there.
What did you make of that story? For those who don't know this, so Lynn Cheney, the vice president's wife, has been doing some genealogy connected to her latest book, and lo and behold, way back, 8 generations ago?
8 generations or
you
something.
and Mr. Cheney apparently have some distant relative. What did you make of that story when it came
You know,
out?
I actually knew about it because somebody had done some genealogy before, and they had sent it to me, this long sheet, and, you know, had all these famous names, you know, Mark Twain and this and that and the other, and then Dick Cheney, and I took a pause, and, you know, I just said, well, you know, as long as he's okay with it, I'm okay with it too, because I'm not going to stop talking about these messed up policies in Iraq just because.
Your cousin.
Yeah, we're not kissing cousins, as they say.
We have a 7th grader from Salinas who claims to have made a major discovery about President Obama. She and her grandfather say that President Obama is related to all but one U.S. president. We get more tonight from Action News reporter Felix Cortez, who's live in our Salinas newsroom.
Well, Dan, the youngster spent the summer, really all summer, tracing the family tree of our presidents. Her conclusion that all the presidents, with the exception of one, share the same grandfather.
Well, first we start off with George Washington at the top, and then it goes to John Adams, Thomas Jefferson.
11-year-old Bridget Dovigneau says she's made a first-of-its-kind discovery that President Obama and all the presidents before him, with the exception of one, are related and descendants of a former king of England.
No, they are all cousins, and they're grandsons of John Lackland.
Dovigneau says she spent countless hours on the internet over the summer researching the lineage of our presidents, a project that started with her trying to trace her own family tree.
But I'm the first historian to do all the presidents. I'm very glad I got this done, and I think it will turn out to be a success.
The Monte Vista Christian 7th grader has written President Obama to tell him the presidents before him are his cousins. She hopes to present this family tree chart personally to the president. But Bridget has her skeptics, including this reporter. Her biggest supporter and firm believer that Obama is a descendant of a former king of England is no doubt her mother.
If you have a child, and they 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 have a child,
Like names change.
all she's saying is this guy is the great, 25th, 27th, depending on what line it is. He created all this family. So do I believe it? Yes. It's hard, but it's true.
Well, Mom said it. Hard to believe, but you got to give the little girl an A+ for at least trying to do that and trying to accomplish that feat. And by the way, Bridget has concluded she's the 11th cousin of President Obama. Dan, Aaron.
All right, very good. Thank you, Felix. So who is the one that President Barack Obama is not related to, according to the 7th grader? Martin Van Buren, 8th President of the United States, first U.S. president born in the U.S. Van Buren was a widowed farmer and tavern keeper from New York who helped form the Democratic Party. He served one term as president. His ancestry is Dutch. And according to the Salinas seventh grader, all of the other presidents are of English ancestry.
It's a great thing for history.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, William Howard Taft, and President Barack Obama. One young girl traced them all back to one common ancestor.
They're all cousins and all grandsons of John Lackland.
It's the first family tree of its kind, pouring through more than 500,000 names for months. 12-year-old Bridge Ann D'Avignon discovered that all the U.S. presidents, except Martin Van Buren, are related to the former King of England, John Lackland Plantagenet, signer of the Magna Carta in 1215.
Mildred Reed is his first great-grandmother on George Washington. And on
No doubt heard the old saying, politics makes strange bedfellows. Well, it also makes for some pretty strange family ties. Listen to this. It turns out that one of President Obama's toughest critics is actually his cousin. Claire Shipman shakes the family tree.
Turns out these two are more than just political enemies. They're having a family feud.
They're 10th cousins, which means that they share a common ancestor. So a man named John Smith, who was an early settler to Massachusetts.
Yes, you heard right. Barack Obama and Sarah Palin are cousins with a family tree that takes them back to one Mr. Smith of the 1600s.
Are we talking about a relationship on the mother's side or the father's side?
All these connections are through his mother's side.
Whenever you have people that can trace their family quite early into this country, particularly those people who came in the 1600s to New England, there's a fair likelihood of finding connections.
Embrace yourselves. Not only can he now call Cousin Sarah for advice about Russia, the president can also call on Cousin Rush to give him a break. They're 10th cousins once removed.
This neophyte genuinely is an economic ignoramus.
I mean, can he really keep that up with family?
Over the past decade or so, technology has advanced. So family history, where it used to be sitting down in libraries with lots of books on the table, today it's doing it from your home.
It's a new, inconvenient truth that humorists like Mark Katz, a former Clinton speechwriter, can't resist.
It raises the question about, if what's wrong with our political process is congenital, and perhaps one day it can be cured at birth.
For Good Morning America, Claire Shipman, ABC News, Washington.
A high level of success, you kind of just have to throw out being an altogether normal person. Or maybe they're lizard people. What's most interesting is that, and this is a fact, is that a lot of US presidents and very powerful people are related. Very distantly, but related. For example, President Barack Obama is a distant cousin of the Bushes, Gerald Ford, Lyndon B. Johnson, Harry Truman, and James Madison, as well as Winston Churchill. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was related, again very distantly, to 11 other US presidents, including Madison, both Adams, Van Buren, Harrison, Taylor, Grant, the other Harrison, Taft, and of course, the other Roosevelt. I mean, his own wife Eleanor was his 5th cousin. Hell, according to genealogy experts at Genie.com, you go back far enough, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are related. 19th cousins. So is that evidence of ancient reptilian bloodlines secretly infiltrating and controlling our government? Or is it just kind of, how ancestry works? I don't know.